If you're building anything with AI right now, whether it's workflows, tools for yourself or for your clients, and you haven't looked at managed agents yet, you're leaving serious money on the table. The bigger AI projects right now, the ones that clients and companies are paying serious money for, we've noticed always end up with some form of agent SDK or managed agents. And that's what my team is focusing on right now. And to my surprise, I've come to know that not many people use these agents or have even heard of them. So let's break this down into what managed agents are, why they are a massive business opportunity right now, and why I genuinely think that this is going to make the next wave of AI millionaires. And I'm not talking in some hypothetical future, I'm talking right now. All right, so if you ever used Claude Code, that's an AI agent. But the thing is, it's an AI agent for you. Managed agents is a completely different thing. It's AI agents just at scale, serving multiple users. So you could imagine that Claude Code is like an assistant at your desk, when managed agents is like deploying a staffing agency. So you deploy agents that work 24/7 and you don't have to manage them or supervise them. And that's, of course, assuming you set them up properly. So there are two ways you can deploy these agents. The first one is the agent SDK, and that's where you have to personally handle the deployment of these AI agents. So you have to set up a server on a VPS and manage them from there. The second one is using the managed agents from Anthropic. And every time that your agents are active and getting work done, you're paying, I believe it's around 8 cents an hour. And it just saves you that hassle of having to build things properly right off the bat. So if you're just starting out, I suggest definitely look into managed agents first. So you're probably wondering what's the difference between something like managed agents and an N8N workflow? Because it's true that on N8N, you can still have some sort of agentic framework. But the reality is that agentic framework is going to be focused on doing one repetitive task. So it's still sequential. It's like you have X and you're going to output Y. Now, with managed agents, it's not sequential at all. These agents can deploy sub-agents. They can use tools like for writing code or deleting files or using MCPs and APIs, and they kind of think of the process on their own. It's not a sequential step by step. All right, so the whole thing essentially boils down to three things. First off is the brain. This is the model you're going to be using, the system prompt you're giving it, the tools you're giving it, etc. Second is the environment. This is where the agent operates. And like I said, if you're using something like managed agents, which is hosted on Anthropic servers, you don't have to really worry about this. But this is where the code is going to execute, the files are going to get read, everything like that. And third is the session. So this is where a single task comes through and then the agent handles it. And it's important to remember that these sessions are stateful, meaning you can pause the agents at any time and then resume them, and they'll know exactly what they did and where they are at. You can even get a real stream of what they're doing right now. So if your agent gets stuck, it's a really good way of debugging because you know exactly what the agent is doing right or doing wrong. Focusing on the session themselves. So there's a concept that's called dreaming. When your agent isn't running tasks, it actually goes and reviews past sessions. That way it can look at what worked, what didn't work, and learn from those mistakes and improve. So think about what that means, right? You deploy an agent in like January, and then by March, you have a much better agent. And this is the concept of it. Obviously, in the middle, you're going to have to do a lot of touch ups and so on. But this is a concept nonetheless that you can turn on, or a feature rather than a concept. So if you've watched this far, you're somewhat serious about AI. So I wanted to tell you about something my co founder and I are building right now. It's called NextPhase, and it's a free Skool community for people that want to build and sell these AI solutions. We run a company called PhaseLink where we deliver AI projects for clients. So right now we kind of want to do a big brain dump and make specific courses on specific topics. So how to get started, how to get clients, how to deliver projects, things like that. Right now it's completely free, and we'll probably keep it free for the first 500 to 1,000 members. And we're at something like 40 people, right? So if you want a lifetime access, now's the time. Get in there, ask your questions, and yeah, just come hang out. All right, back to the real deal, lock in. So sub-agents, this is what I was referring to earlier when I said your main agent can deploy sub-agents. And usually these sub-agents are deployed when the task at hand is very complex. So it divides it into smaller tasks, and each sub-agent handles one of those tasks. It allows you to get work done much more efficiently since obviously these agents are working in parallel, but you also aren't having to deal with big complex chunks of code. And that's going to be bloating your files, bloating your context, and yeah, no bueno. So by default, every session starts off fresh, but you can give your agents a persistent memory across days or weeks or so on and so forth. And then you can combine this with the dreaming feature we talked about. And in theory, your agent does get smarter and better. However, what we've noticed is that this is like a double-edged sword, because if your agent has a lot of context, it will sometimes start to hallucinate, give responses that are not true. So you really have to be careful with the context and the context window and make sure that you are not bloating your agents. So this brings us to our final point. How do we ensure our agents give good responses? So this is called outcomes. It's a self-grading loop, where you write a rubric on what a good output looks like. And every time your agents run, they run through an evaluation phase where it judges if this is a good output or not. So you're not just hoping that your agent does a good job. You can actually measure it. And this is obviously good because it allows you to track KPIs that you can use yourself to improve your system, or obviously you can show your clients to build trust. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. If you really want to give this a try, I strongly suggest you look at the documentation from Anthropic on what managed agents are, all the features, how to use them, etc. I'll leave a link down in the description alongside the Skool community link. Feel free to join, ask your questions, interact with people. And yeah, thank you for watching.